Hey everybody, Brandon from Pro Wargaming here, bringing my very first long format video. I'm going to be painting a power sword from a Nemesis Dread Knight. It's a little bit bigger, so it's easier to see. I did film this like 2 months ago, so I'm missing a little bit of the footage. I'm sorry. The stuff that's missing is like edge highlighting and that kind of stuff, so we'll cover it in another video. It'll be alright. Since it is my first video that you're actually seeing my face on the channel besides live streams and that kind of stuff, I just want to talk a little bit about me. So I've been mini painting for about 3 years. Before that, I was in the Army for a while, and when I got out, I did what everyone does and then went to art school of all things. And with that, it's really helped me with getting a grasp of mini painting, and I kind of want to share some of that with you guys. But just like everybody else, I got sucked into this hobby, just like all you, because it's so much fun. It's such a great way to express yourself. I can also be kind of goofy. The other guys on the channel are goofier, but I do what I can. Alright, getting started, I base coated with Duraluminum, Vallejo Metal Color, and Pro Acrylic Dark Gray Blue. My reasoning behind doing the metallic first is that if anything ever gets chipped off or the tape tears anything up or anything like that, you're going to see the silver underneath and it's going to look a lot better than black primer. The most important thing here is to make sure you're working in very light and even coats. Alright, so apply your masking tape like this, and just know we're working on the blade in 4/4 on opposite sides. Alright, and next we're going to mix at like a 70-30 ratio of dark gray blue and temple guard blue. If I would have had the turquoise Pro Coat at the time, I would have used that instead because it works a lot better. Make sure you're thinning these all really well and you're testing consistency before you put on the model. And we're just going to slowly add this to about midway to the front of the blade and then the back of the blade. Make sure you're working very thin, very slow. Take your time. Make this as smooth as you can. Alright, and then you're going to flip it over and you're going to do the same pattern on the opposite side of the blade. One thing to keep in mind is if you're not super diligent about releasing the trigger all the way back before you let go of the air, test out your airbrush on your paper towel before you start again. It's a good habit to get into. You'll thank me later when you're splattering paint you did not want in your model. And the next step, we're going to mix our base color with a dark gray. And you just want to put as thin a line of this as you can in between your base coat. It's just going to increase the contrast and have more visual interest. One thing that I found helped me in all these steps was starting on the tape first and then moving your stream of paint onto the model and then back onto the other piece of tape. That way you get a little bit of a preview of your trigger control before it goes in the model. Alright, next step is we're just going to thin down pure temple guard blue or turquoise, or really any color you want. You could mix and match this however you'd like in whatever color. It's the same concept. Most of the time I like thinning my paints in a cup before I put it in the airbrush. You can also do this in the airbrush itself, but it's safer this way because sometimes when you mix in your airbrush it can kind of get clogged and it's kind of hard to work out. Again, it's super important before you ever think about putting airbrush paint on a model. Test its consistency on something, your paper towel, your hand, anything but the model itself. And then we're going to apply this right in the middle of where we had our mix of our base color and our turquoise color. The super important part here is that the area is smaller than that previous layer. You can see I kind of had an issue with the temple guard blue. I had to thin it a lot to get it to even run through the airbrush. That's why if I would have had the turquoise from one of my hobbies at that point, I would have used it because I don't have those issues with those paints. All right, and the next color mix we're doing is we're just gonna add bold titanium white into our temple guard blue. And this I just added direct to the airbrush. Make sure you add a little bit of thinner as well and test the consistency before you spray the model. So the white mixes with whatever you have left in your airbrush and just has a little bit of a tint of the previous color. And you're gonna apply this just like the last step, but only leaving a little line right in the middle. This next step is a little bit different. We're gonna make a really transparent glaze. This particular mix was contrast Aether Mag blue and then blue ink. And even though these paints are already really transparent, you're gonna wanna thin it down a little bit. And then we're just gonna go ahead and apply that glaze over the entire length of the blade. This is gonna smooth our transitions and tie everything together. It's really important to make sure this completely dries before the next step. Finally, we're gonna go back with our bold titanium white and give an even smaller line through that highlight. You can see that I practiced on the tape to kind of get a feel of my trigger control at that very moment. You can see I kind of messed up there. Luckily, it got into a part of the blade that I was going to repaint anyway. Just know, everyone makes mistakes. They're all fixable. It's alright. And now that we have that last highlight, go back with our glaze and just barely touch it. And that's it. We're halfway done with the power sword. Make sure it dries completely and then take off the tape. I would recommend a matte varnish at this point. You don't have to, but it's going to lock in what you've done so far and protect all that work you've done. Alright, and for the other side, it's just the opposite. And you're also going to place the highlights in opposite parts of the blade as well. So the tip and then about the middle of the back. And after this, you're like 99% done. The only thing left is edge highlighting. Make sure you get these edge highlights as thin as you can. Alright, and then here's the grand reveal of the whole model. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out all the links in the description, all the ways you can support us and all the people that support us, Monument Hobbies and all the sponsors. All the stuff's in the description. Go check it out. Thanks again. I've been Brandon. This has been a Probable Wargaming.